This Memorial Day, click into cordless power at the Home Depot. Tackle your yard cleanup with the precision and gas-like power of the Ryobi 40-volt expanded cordless string trimmer. Then power through the heavier debris with more than an hour of runtime on the Ryobi 40-volt cordless battery blower. Right now, you can get either one for only $159 each. It's time to click into Memorial Day doing at your cordless power source, the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Welcome to Pod Mavericks Mavs Party. That's a mouthful. I'm going to need to figure that out in the offseason. Welcome. It is just before 11 o'clock on Sunday night, May 26th. It's the Sunday before Memorial Day. So those of us in America that work desk jobs probably don't have to work tomorrow. I don't. So we're going to stay here and stay up late talking about the Dallas Mavericks defeating the Minnesota Timberwolves 116-107. If you are one of the fans that likes to sort of look ahead, I think we can actually do that now, despite the fact that the Mavericks are up 3-0 and Derek Lively, his injury situation is a little bit questionable as we're recording. For those of you who are new to the show, who have not participated, I just posted a link to join a StreamYard.com. That's essentially what we do on this, where you can click into it from your phone, you can click into it from your computer, and we can talk a little hoop. We somehow have a lot of people in here, and we'll see, what we want to talk about basketball, at least for the next, I can go 45 minutes or an hour. So far, we don't have anybody that's clicked in yet, which is, usually a little bit surprising to me, but I can find a way to filibuster and talk about, some of the things I'm seeing on the internet. Once again, I have no clue how to get into the chat. I will share you. My friend Brad just shot me a DM, so maybe he'll be the one who figures out how to join us. If you're watching on YouTube, it's pinned in the comments. If you're watching on Twitter, actually shoot me a DM like Brad just did here. I can send you the link directly. We can join the show. We'll talk a little hoop and enjoy celebrating the fact that we are 3-0. All right, we have our first guest, my longtime Mavs basketball friend, Henry, team captain Kyrie. What's going on, guy?
We're shaking on, my guy. I think I'll start this off with, what do you feel like the game plan is for Boston? I'm going to go ahead and look ahead.
On paper, Boston should be able to shell these Mavericks because they have a lot of guys that can shoot a lot of threes. I think you put Derek White or Drew Holiday on Kyrie and say, go to work. I think you put you throw every defender you can at Luka Doncic. But the linchpin with them just happens to be the linchpin with the Dallas Mavericks from the 2021-22 season. Guy by the name of Kristaps Porzingis. If Kristaps comes back and looks good, which is the important part, because he was just scorching before he went down. He was shooting like he was back in 2020 for the Mavericks.
Right.
Then they're really hard to beat. They're just really hard to beat.
I mean, he's taking what now? Almost a month off. I feel like it's going to be the same Kawhi effect. You can't miss that much time. Come get thrown back into the intensity of this playoffs, and then if he does, mazel tov. That's all.
I agree.
I just don't think he's going to come back and do that. But I actually feel like if Minnesota were, and again, obviously it's too late now, but I felt like Minnesota matches up better with Boston because Boston is 5-out spread and they like to run ISO. And if you just have Ant and McDaniels and ISO with Rudy to roam on the back end, like I feel like Minnesota would have. I feel like they would have did the same thing they did to Denver to Boston. So there's that. I actually think they match up better with them than we do.
I just don't take the Celtics seriously because they drop all these games they have no business losing. Like on paper, they are better, so much better than every team they've played. Yet they lose the games to they've barely escaped twice. It should be 2-1 Indiana. That's what the series should be. They barely escaped the Cavs. Like I just don't take them seriously. And like I'm sure I'll maybe eat my words, but you know what? At this point last year, the Mavericks were fishing so deep in the Gulf of Mexico that they probably didn't get service to be able to listen to any of the Western Conference Finals basketball games. I'm just riding a high, and you're not gonna be able to tell me shit at this point.
That's Miami with no Butler. Donovan Mitchell missed the last few games, and now Tyrese Halliburton has gone down. Like I mean, that's the easiest fucking road I've seen in quite some while.
Which they can only play who's in front of them, but at a certain point, it's about being battle tested.
Have you seen the difference between the OKC versus the Minnesota? I have an theory of it, but I want to see what do you think the difference was between OKC versus Minnesota?
I mean, quite simply, Lou Dort's not able to get away with like capital punishment against Luka. Some of the shit he was doing against Luka was illegal in multiple states, like all sorts of groping and molesting. And Jaden McDaniels, you can tell, has a level of respect for Luka where he's like, I'm going to get in your shit and bother you, but at a certain point, I'm just going to foul you really hard. I'm not going to do like, there's like Luka. I don't know if you saw any of this, but like Luka was getting hit off ball that I'm surprised he never got ejected from a Thunder game with some of the he was dealing with. That's been a big thing for me. And other than that, there's obviously Kyrie attacking the rim with a complete disrespect of the French, and that's really fun for me.
Oh yeah, actually, I had a little bit more simpler take on it. So versus OKC, the star SGA was hooping, but his surrounding role players did not, and then Minnesota is the exact opposite. The role players are hooping and the stars are not. So I really feel like it's the exact opposite because Jesus Christ, if Naz Reid isn't the second coming, Jay McDaniels turned into Game 6 Clay. Mike Conley apparently can't miss. Like, it's the exact opposite. The role players are showing up for Minnesota. The stars are not. And then in OKC, SGA showed up and the role players did not. So it's almost like an exact the flipping there happening. But if there's any way we could steal Naz Reid and move PJ to the 3, oh my God, we're repeating back to back.
Dirty secret about Naz Reid, man. You go look at the minutes when Naz Reid is on the floor. The Mavericks attack him with reckless abandon. He is getting destroyed. The only reason he didn't get played off the floor in the previous game is because he hit 37 threes.
Oh yeah. He's a bona fide. I don't think he's going to be there long because I promise you, in Reid's head, he feels like he's better than Cat. And
he is better than Cat.
I'm not coming off the bench. I'm not coming off behind the guy I'm better than. So I think he maybe leaves after like a year or so. But I'm just saying, if we can get him at the 4 and then move PJ to the 3, man, forget about it. But no, this Boston series, I got us winning in 6. The storyline of if this is bigger than if Braun came back to the Garden, the way they hate Kyrie. And I want to see him step on Lucky several times in those fucking Jesus Christ slippery moccasins. And this is going to be absolutely amazing.
Love it, man. Thanks so much for the tip earlier, and thanks so much for joining once again. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right, man. See you.
Love it when people who join this show regularly hop back in. It always makes me glad that people are willing to be returning speakers on the show. Speaking of returning, we got my guy Brandon. Brandon, what's going on?
Kirk, I want to be optimistic about the Boston Dallas potential playoff, but aren't we like 0-4? So, like a 4-game losing streak against Boston. So,
yeah, but you know what? Like the way the confidence this team is playing with is sort of hard. Like you cannot replicate this. The Celtics, they've been to the conference finals, I think 5 times, and they've been to the finals once. There is, with all the belief that the Celtics have to have in themselves, there also has to be a whole lot of, oh, shit. I'm not sure if you listen to Zach Lowe and his podcast on ESPN, but Tim Bontemps and him basically said the Celtics have to win this year. They have no excuses. So the Mavericks at this point, let's assume they get past the Wolves because I think that's good. That's a good bet. The Mavericks are playing with so much house money. They just need to go play basketball.
That's all they got to do. But, man, Kirk, they're the Yankees. To me, the Celtics are the Yankees. They just throw money out and never win. So,
well, they've developed so many, they've developed Brown and Tatum, and they made a great trade for Drew Holiday. They've done all the right stuff. But I've wondered since they traded for Kristaps Porzingis, him being the linchpin of your team is risky as all get out, because Porzingis wants to play. His body is just made of glass, and like that's very difficult to get through.
Man, it is, and it seems like it could be more serious than what they're saying, because from my understanding, he was supposed to come back during the first round of the playoffs, but they just kept pushing it back and saying that he may return, and now here it is, the final weeks of the season, he still hasn't returned. So it could be something that's way more serious, but I don't know. But to me, it seems like if they were to attack anybody on our defense starting group, it would be Gafford, because it seems like Gafford has trouble defending around when he's taken out of the paint around the free throw line, around the perimeter. Yep. He has a lot of trouble. And I noticed that today that he doesn't contest shots. Like somebody can actually, kind of drop on him, and he's turning around looking for the rebound instead of, actually, putting a hand in somebody's face. So,
well, that's why, like, Lively's minutes, if you go look at the last 3 box scores, Lively's minutes have kind of been creeping. And that's largely why. And Lively's so good in space, it spoils us, because, I mean, what big men are good in space? Like you got Rudy Gobert out there, and he's really quite fantastic, and Luka and everybody's still ripping him. It's tough. It's just sort of the nature of the game these days. But yeah, I walk away from this game. I wrote about this. Like there's some like real Team of Destiny vibes about this, and Jared points out in the chat that Maxey was probably supposed to be reevaluated for today. And so if Maxi Kleber is able to come back, and there's just a lot of things where the stock ticker is pointing up for these Mavericks.
They are. And Kirk, and do you think that Kidd had something to do with Hardy not making, kind of mistakes that he would have made in the regular season? Because I was looking at, where he scored at, and it seems like all but one of his shots he scored in the paint. He hasn't shot a lot, but he also hasn't taken a lot of reckless threes.
No. And he's been, Hardy got that bump, and like that bump foul from Rudy on the jumper where he got him up in the air. Like that's a play that I think Rudy only gives up 1 in every 10 times to somebody of Hardy's caliber. But sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And I want to say it might've been Kyrie, like waved Hardy to take the ISO when he did that. Like there were some real like, oh wow, like circumstances going on where, the other Mavericks were trying to juice Hardy up because they need guys to play with confidence. Like Tim Hardaway didn't see the floor tonight. He saw the floor last game. He missed a 3 and missed 2 free throws. And I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see him play basketball as a Dallas Maverick again, sort of thing. The confidence and just the willingness to go out and play. Josh Bowe talked about this in the last show, is really important this time of year.
And you made a point, and I noticed, and I was thinking about this earlier, they deferred a little too much to Luka and Kyrie. I mean, they were making kind of, Josh Green with the jump passes and a lot of reckless passes that I was like, come on now, you guys got to at least try to put the ball in it.
Well, this is where like the Mavericks, I don't want to call it a lack of offense, but it is. It's where they are so dead set on getting the ball to those guys. There was like one series where it's like Hardy gets it up and then Green has it, and I'm like, why is Luka or Kyrie not touching the ball? Like, why isn't this happening? And then I thought like Hardy finally pulled it out and passed back to Luka, and it's, possessions really matter, and I have no problem with shots. It's more of like, guys, just don't turn the ball over, don't do anything too reckless. And Luka and Kyrie are such good table setters that they help put the guys into place to do so. And you know what? If Kyrie wants Jaden Hardy to take Rudy Gobert off the dribble, and that's something that they want, because they have the confidence in him that's important to Maverick, who am I to say no to it?
And one more thing, Kirk, I just feel like, to me, this is hopeful thinking, but to me, Dallas offense would flow a lot better if they ran sets kind of like whenever, Tony Parker was drawing guys in, and, he would force two guys to pick him up. So the thing he had to do was either dish it to Ginobili or Duncan. And we had outside shooter and Luka or either Kyrie and somebody that could go on the inside with Lively. But that's just a testimony of what good coaching could do, to where you say,
Right.
hey, these guys pick you up, and if they pick you up, just dump it. And the Spurs, they kill people for years like that.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you once again for joining us.
Appreciate it, Kirk.
All right, so here's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to insert some audio ads in this real quick because we're about 15 minutes into this show, and then I'm going to bring up Brad, and then we have Sam, and then we have Michael. While I am inserting these audio ads, it's going to be like 15 seconds of silence. I can see my cell phone lighting up, and it's like I can't reach it, so I'm going to disappear off screen for just a second, and then we'll be right back.
PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for your shot to win up to 100 times your cash. I made my first $10 deposit and received an instant $10 bonus. And if you have the skills, you can play for a shot of turning your $10 into $1,000. And playoff time is the best time to join the PrizePicks community of over 5 million members who have already downloaded the app. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Download the app today and use the code BLUEWIRE for a first deposit match up to $100. That's a first deposit match of up to $100 when you download the app and use the code BLUEWIRE. PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Want to be more active this summer? Sierra helps you save on everything from swimsuits to stand-up paddleboards, tennis rackets to fishing tackle. And if that doesn't float your boat, we also have pool floats. Sierra, let's get moving. To your local store, like now. Go!
All right, guys, thanks so much for dealing with my constant nonsense. Fun, weird story, just personal story tonight. I let my 8-year-old, I told him since, there's no school tomorrow, it's Memorial Day. Well, there's no school anymore. I told him he could stay up and watch the game late, and he proceeded to pass out during the game. And I woke him up, and the first thing he basically once the game was over, first thing he says was, "Did we win?" And then I carried him upstairs and put him to bed. So, yes, playoff basketball is fantastic. All right, coming up next is my friend Brad from Twitter. Brad, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm good. Where are you coming? Where are you right now?
I am actually in Las Cruces, New Mexico currently. So
nice.
Yeah, pretty nice little spot.
Well, what'd you think of that game?
I was stressed. I was trying to explain to my girlfriend, man, like this could not be more of a must-win game 3 when you're up 2-0 when Lively went out. And she didn't quite get it, but it's okay.
Yes, it's okay. You just got to see it a few times.
Yeah, and honestly, just my biggest takeaway from the night was, man, like how great is it to experience like this part of basketball again for the Mavericks? Like just like such a good time. Like you gotta try and take it all in and just enjoy it when you can. Like super positive like moment for us.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's so little, sports fandom is really getting to the next thing. There's a lot of it. If your team's not good, you're trying to get to the end of the season, you get to the draft. Then once you get to the draft, it's summer league. Or if you're a football fan, you're trying to get to next week's game just to see what's out there. And this is very, very much a living in the moment situation because, 2 conference finals in 3 years is remarkably rare. And we can, those of us who are old Mavs fans remember the Mavericks winning 50 games year after year after year and it not amounting to anything.
Of course.
So this is great.
Yeah, I think that's just like the big like takeaway is like, wow, like, okay, was I expecting this year? No. But was I expecting it in 2011? Of course not. I just, you've obviously made your statements on how your thoughts are like on what's going to happen. And it's just like, it's nice to take a step back and be like, holy shit, like, wow, we're actually up 3-0 in the Western Conference Finals. And like, I'm like really trying to do my best not to like think ahead too much about like how we're going to beat Boston. Like, you know, it's wild to think about.
Which is so silly. It's so silly to even consider it. I love it so much.
I mean, we won with like Dwight Powell playing minutes like in this game. Like, I was like so concerned with that, but you know, here we are.
That's great, man. Well, I'm glad you reached out and actually asked to join. More people need to do that are watching the show via Twitter. I think it's people are like, why would I direct message Kirk? I don't care. I answer all of my messages. I talk to everybody because I'm just a person online like you. So thanks so much for joining the show again.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
All right, we'll talk soon.
All
right. Coming up next, we have Sam the Dirk fan, and he has an incredible head of hair. What's going on?
Kirk, second time, long time.
Talking about what's going on?
Big fan of the show. I normally only call in during playoff time because I just listen to you guys during the season and then lock in the playoffs. I'm in the Chicago area. First of a couple thoughts. I can't believe our 2-guard is balling with literal tassels on his shoes. I think that's totally out of control. Last of the Mohican style. Going Daniel Day-Lewis on him. The second is, I watched a lot of Bulls games during Gafford's rookie year when they had Jim Boylan. And the reason why I would watch Bulls games is I had the Duncan app, and they would do like the little Duncan character race, and if you guessed correctly, you know, you could get a free cup of coffee. And watching his improvement, he was always a tough SOB, but like putting his giant body in the right place is something we as Mavs fans should not take for granted. I know he stumbles and bumbles, doesn't look when he needs to be boxing out and other things, but the improvement is just totally out of control.
I'm very delighted in all of it because I had a level of expectations for these guys, and they have passed it beyond the meat. Like, Gafford picked up that foul at halftime, and I was cursing him. Because it was the dumbest thing imaginable.
It was the dumbest thing imaginable.
And then here's the great part, Sam. It didn't fucking matter.
It didn't matter.
He came back out and played awesome and just dealt with it. Like, do you remember there was maybe it was game 1 where he didn't give Luka a screen and Luka was like screaming at him at the end of a quarter. And he went to give Luka a high five, and Luka was like, "Fuck this guy." he gave him a hand waiver. I'm like, "Man, Luka, you're an asshole. Don't do that to my guy." And then it's the same game where it's like Luka has enough faith in him to throw a 70, a 70-foot pass where he catches it and falls over and throws the ball in. I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased with him.
Last 2 points. The first one is you said something in a show in the middle of the year when the Mavs were on their heater after the trade deadline. It was like, if Luka keeps playing like this, I really like Slovenia's chance for a medal. The odds of Slovenia medaling they haven't officially like qualified for the Olympics yet. Do you still feel that way?
Yes, because I've heard whisperings, and I'm not making this up. I've heard whisperings that Daniel Gafford is trying to get Slovenia.
No, he's not. He's not.
I am not making that up.
Wow.
So Daniel Gafford, local Slovenian, which would, it would seriously change the whole thing. I mean, granted, it's a different ball game, but could you imagine? Like, that'd be something. I'm looking for it because, like, Luka. Like a Luka that wins a ring rolling into the Olympics would be the most terrifying player in the entire tournament.
Because he gets the playing for his country bonus, and you've talked about it on the show like for years now. As a Mavs fan, we just need to just embrace and really love how charged up he gets for how much he loves his country. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of beautiful to watch. And then my last kind of question is. This heater Jason Kidd is on. It's something we see in sports, in like all the 3 major sports, right? Like football coaches get hot. Weirdly, baseball coaches can get hot too. It happened to the Giants a couple times where they just push the right buttons. The nature of this heater. What is he doing? If you had to give like a cliff notes, like here are my 3 big things he's doing differently now than he was doing during the regular season, or other observations like that. What would be kind of your summary of this coaching heater?
I don't know because I'm not in there, but if I were to guess, he's actually telling them exactly how he feels.
Ooh.
I think that coaches have a limited number of bullets that they can use. Seriously, they can only. There's only so many times you could tell somebody to go grab a fucking rebound. I mean, think about the authority figures you've had in your life. At what point do you start to tune them out? So if you never use that lever, if you're never like, hey, like Daniel, shut the fuck up and go grab a rebound. Daniel, don't foul Rudy Gobert with 1 second left at the end of the quarter. You know, like if you never do that all year, but you do it when it really matters, I think it can make a difference. Now the challenge is like actually getting to the point to where you can use it, which is what Kidd hasn't done. Like he definitely didn't do it last year when the team was a mess, and he did it in 2021, 22 as well. So that's kind of my main thing that I have to imagine, because we've heard enough about how somebody talked to Luka before Game 5 against the Thunder, right? And I've heard some whisperings, and it seems to be a conglomeration of people. And somebody was like, well, wouldn't Kidd have tried to talk to him before? And it's like, not necessarily. This season's really long. What if you're saving your one opportunity to like stage an intervention and be like, hey, bro, shut the fuck up. and like, then, okay, all right. You know what? You're right. I'm not having fun. Let's go play. So.
And the whole like not calling timeouts through like runs of the other team and kind of sitting on his hands thing. Do you think that was about building character, or do you think that was kind of like a little bit petulant coach in the moment? Do you think there was a bigger plan for that, like not bailing him out like you were talking about in the middle of the season?
I don't know. I mean, I think he has faith in these guys as professionals, so that's got to be part of it. It's got to be part of it. Sam, thank you so much for joining. You're the man.
You the man. Peace.
Right, soon. All right, now we got Michael. Michael, welcome to the show, man. What's going on? You're playing Xbox. Man, are you playing Xbox?
I'm playing PlayStation. Yeah. I'm in the playoffs right now with the Mavs.
That's very important. It's very important. So what do you got going on tonight? Tell me.
Not much, man. It's been a wild weekend. I'm part of the town I live here in Belton and Temple, where that tornado hit down 2 hours south of Dallas, and it's been crazy down here trying to pick stuff up. But thankfully, it wasn't worse, man. No casualties, thankfully. So, but other than that, man, bro, this team is something different. Like, I'm not entirely sure if anybody or if you had this happening, because, again, this is the West. Like, you can take any team, you can bet on any team in the first round, and your odds are probably looking solid to see how far they can go. But, man, I do have to say, there are a lot of people on national television that are so pissed at this 0-3 hole that the Wolves are in, because the championing, the overreacting to the Wolves and Anthony Edwards that they did prior to this series. I mean, even on Inside the NBA, I was watching after the game. Kenny Smith is pissed. He is so upset that Anthony Edwards is coming up small. Yep. He is so upset. And, of course, Anthony Edwards is, 22? Yeah. This dude, he's got 15 years left.
Right, he'll be okay. He'll be just fine.
He'll be just fine, dude. I'm pretty sure he's gonna win a title or multiple ones. Come on now. He's an awesome kid. You can tell he loves this. He's the ultimate competitor. I love Anthony Edwards. I haven't gone up against anybody that I actually hate in this run, unless it was James Harden. Even Paul George got a lot of love for. But man, this team, I'm really loving it. Luka and Kai, they're proving everybody wrong. Hell, even proving me wrong. I wasn't the biggest fan of the trade either. But I think that had a lot more to do with my love for Dorian Finney-Smith than it had to do with, the actual – because I'm not a basketball savant, or nor do I claim to be. I know next to nothing about basketball except the –
You like watching the games.
I like watching the game. I know at least on paper what I'm watching, right?
Or if you're having fun, then that's the point.
Yes, and like you said earlier, I think you tweeted out earlier, this is a great game or great series if you love your blood pressure being 200 over 100. Like that is the ultimate description of this.
I keep like I say that my mother has blood pressure issues, so I keep checking on her during the game, and I'm like, please do not have a heart attack over this shit, woman. And she's like, I'm fine. I'm sauced. And it's like, okay, good. It's great. It's supposed to be fun. And I sometimes really forget that because number one, this is like my non-job. It's my hobby, but I care a lot about it. And like, this is a point in the cycle. When we drafted Luka, when the Mavericks drafted Luka in 2018, I remember do you remember the lottery? Were you a Mavs fan before the lottery?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was so heartbroken that the Mavs fell to 5. Like it wrecked me for like several weeks. Like I didn't have kids yet. Yes, I did. I had a kid. Sorry. But I was a bad parent for a couple of weeks because it's just like, And then I remember going to the gym and they hadn't made the trade. I come out of the gym to like a blown up phone and it's like, this is awesome. And honestly, the finals were like, this is right up there with that moment because when we were playing the Warriors, it was like, we're going to die by Kevon Looney. This is awful. This is really special. And I hope everybody's really enjoying it.
Yeah. I was a big Mo Bamba guy during that draft. I was like, okay, at number 5, we can't get Ayton, we can't get Doncic. Okay, so let's go with Mo Bamba. Let's get a big because again, we've needed a center for like ever since the championship team. Basically, we needed a center ever since then. So hey, let's get Mo Bamba. And obviously, again, like my basketball knowledge right there. Where would we be? But another thing, 2 things is 2 guys. You love this guy. You're his biggest fan. I am a Josh Green truther. I love Josh Green. I know he's your favorite player on the team.
He got 25 minutes tonight, man. He really he mattered tonight in a way that's not reflected in the box score.
Yeah, I think he shot one shot. He made it. It was a 3. It was a wide open 3. At least that's the least you can ask for. Make your open shots.
That's right.
But man, this guy, I mean, again, he's not a finished product at 23. He's that clumsy type of player, but he's so serious. You can tell he cares and is so passionate about this game and this team. And there were 2 plays on the defensive end that he impacted that caused the turnover, where I know one of them was Anthony Edwards pushing to the paint. Josh Green just went ahead and decided, okay, I'm going to help. And it was a strip, I believe, by Luka, by Josh Green's help, held him up, Anthony Edwards, that is, and they got a steal. And another one was him just doing great defense. Like, I can't say enough about this guy. Look, I would love if he got multiple shots a game. There are times where Luka and Kyrie just, like, look him off. They know he's open, but they're like, he's the little brother on the team that I think that they're trying to bring him along, build his offensive game. And then Jaden Hardy. My goodness, man. This guy, he's fighting on defense a lot harder. You would want that, right? In the playoffs, fighting on defense harder than you would in the regular season. And I think that's what we all love. He's playmaking. He's picking his shots, not forcing anything. But I also love when you just take it to the hole. You take it. Be aggressive. What he did at the end of the third quarter and taking it to the hole, drawing fouls, getting that layup at the end of the third quarter. I just wanted to come on here and shout out the young guys and also point out how everybody wanted to crown Anthony Edwards already, and it's blowing up in their face. Of course, we got one more. Let's lock it down. Let's win it. Let's hoist the Western Conference trophy in front of our home fans. But just shouting out the young guys, Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, Jason Kidd. Obviously, like you say, he's a 16-game coach, not an 82-game coach. Because I listen to this show after – every day out my way home. I have a 20-minute drive home. I listen to every single one, and you and Josh do one hell of a job, man.
Michael, thank you so much for that. And if you haven't, my man Brent, longtime Mavs Moneyball contributor, he turned in this morning over like the dead of night. I woke up to this. He's like, I have a Jason Kidd mea culpa, and it's like 1,600 words. And he's like, because he was the only guy on our site to like vocally call for Kidd to be fired last year. And he was just like, hey, look, I'm wrong. And here's why. Here's how good Jason Kidd's been. And if you're looking to, after you win your 2K finals, if you're looking for something to go read, recommend going and doing that. Michael, thank you so much for the support and for the conversation. I hope you come back.
All right, Josh. Or not, Josh. Kirk, take care.
No, man. That's the first time. Josh will he's so excited because we look so. There's multiple people that think we're the same. It's my favorite. All right, Michael, talk soon.
My bad, man. Take care.
Bye. All right, coming up next is Krishna. If Krishna's there, though his camera's not turned on. So do we think Krishna is actually there? You know what? I'm going to go to Leo next because Krishna might be up meandering around his house. Leo, what's going on?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. You sound good.
Christian in the chat said he'll be gone for 30 minutes.
Okay,
he said
I'm glad you told me this.
Yeah, he said to end the show. You can talk
another
another
time.
time.
It is. You're right. Yeah, see, this is how you know I need a producer where I just do all my own dumb shit. So what's going on? What are you thinking?
Well, not to get too far ahead because I don't want to talk about the finals or the game 4. It feels a little bad luckish, but I don't know much about defense or bigs. SJ is always tweeting about how like D-Live is different and special. His ability to move on the floor with following guards. Is he a top 5 or 10 center right now with that ability, or is this just something like we're hyping up too much?
No, we're not hyping it up too much. We're not. We're just not. Every team uses their centers very differently. But I will say with the for a guy who's a star in their role, this guy is really important to what the Mavericks do. If you watch, so I understand what you're talking about. You're like, I don't know. I often have to watch things 2 and 3 times, and I know defense, but you watch Lively's reaction, his feet, the way he uses angles and the way he uses his wingspan. And this is really hard to do for most NBA players, period. The way he uses the center of his body, he is very rarely out of position. He is always in front of the guy. He is always meeting whoever is coming to the basket vertically, which is extremely important. And with his chest being in the center, he's not getting bumped on the sides. Like, this is how Luka will sometimes really embarrass people. He's just really good. He's so fundamentally sound, and he does not make the same mistake over and over again. That's the thing. I have seen play and played with some talented big men, and it's just the kind of stuff we're seeing, Leo, is savant level stuff. It's not hyperbole. Okay. I understand why everybody's all in on Wemby, but if Wemby didn't exist, I mean, Lively's going to anchor a Team USA defense. Like, we've not talked about this enough because he's not old enough yet for it, but I think that, we're going to look at what's happening, and he's going to anchor a Team USA defense and help bring home a gold, and it's going to be amazing. But yeah, go ahead.
And then, I don't know if you've gone back to listen to your podcast from Summer League, but there's a specific game against the Warriors where Jaden Hardy passes up a lob to D-Live, and you go on about how that was the most horrible lob you've ever seen, and that made you so happy to think D-Live had good hands, and just the progress that D-Live and both Hardy have had, because Hardy's thrown some really nice
Hardy has thrown some good passes.
And his maturation as a playmaker, he still makes dumb things, but it's been good. D-Live's ability to catch the balls up high, even with like that Kai pass where he lost the ball and it kind of went up into like the fingertips of D-Live's hands. And just looking forward to the future of what Omax could be and just the depth that this team could have, barring that we don't lose GJJ, where we have Josh, Hardy, Omax, and hopefully Maxey coming off the bench with D-Live.
A lot of stuff to be positive about, Leo. Hope you're excited.
All right. I hope you get to gloat at this about in front of your friends, because I'm sorry, but most of them suck butt.
Fair enough, man. Talk soon. All right, Leo's the best. Leo's been coming on for years. Sonic, and then Mr. Green's going to close this out. Sonic, what's going on?
Hey, Kirk. This has been a great game. I genuinely was worried for as soon as D-Live went down.
Why wouldn't you be? I was terrified.
I know. I was scared out of my mind. I was like, oh, this is going to slip away. What's his prognosis going to be? Man, it's amazing they pulled this out. And just seeing Luka and Kyrie is just such a great high. But actually, what I wanted to bring up tonight, so I don't know, you probably don't remember this. You talk to so many people, and I'm like a speck in a giant tapestry of different people you talk to every day. But like a year ago, I came on. It's like the first time I think I ever came on, and it was after like the whole I couldn't. I had to message you to help me figure out how to get connected, and I did the whole spiel on Jason Kidd, right? Everyone was like down on him, wanting to get rid of him. And I made this big spiel about like why I thought he was a good coach, despite all the evidence to the contrary. It was basically that he looks at the big picture. He's like trying to forge a championship team. He's not caring about the day-to-day record, and he's not doing the normal coaching things because he doesn't have the same priorities that the audience, the fans, like expect a coach to have. And I think this series has like been the best evidence that we've seen that this kind of bears this out. This idea that he knows as a player the kind of mindset a team needs to win a championship, and he was trying to get them to that point to have that mindset before he took the he put the training wheels back on, basically. Instead of like having training wheels and like relying on a coach to lean on a coach for wins, he's just like throws you in the deep water, makes you make mistakes, lets you fail, shows you like you're going to fail if you keep doing it this way. Believe me when I tell you that you have to do it a certain way. And once you start playing my way, then I'm going to be able to actually coach on the margins. But I think he believes coaches only affect games like in that 5% margins after teams have kind of achieved the kind of mindset, the kind of like the checklist of you need the personnel, you need the right mindset, you need the right circumstances. Like, and I think this series really has proven that more than anything else. And he's stepped up. He's actually doing doing everything we expect a coach to do now. So,
I think that Kidd has a vision on how he wants basketball to be played. Mm-hmm. I think that it also helps when you get the right guys. He was a driving force behind them getting McGee. Mm-hmm. And that was obviously not a thing. He had nothing to do with them losing Brunson. That was all Cuban and the Knicks. Yes. And so,
yes,
I think that him having a vision for how he wants them to play is going to be is pretty important. And not to look ahead, but what it really does with the kind of ages of the current players that they have is you could say, all right, this is kind of the Mavericks 3-year plan right now. This is what they want to do. These are the kind of guys who are going to fit in what we need to go get, as opposed to when we were talking last year where it's like, can we just have good players? Can we have good players that don't suck?
Well, and so this is not my whole spiel is certainly not what I think is like the only factor. The personnel, there's tons of factors to this, right? But if anything, I would say, the people that he knew were his, most important pieces, Luka primarily, were the ones that he's trying to teach these lessons to. And then he's trying to get the right people around him to kind of complete the full vision.
Sure.
I put it this way. I think, and this is why I say this series proves this more than anything. A team, I think this is kind of the idea. A team who is able to control their emotions enough to, without having to take a timeout, pull a game back, like change that momentum without relying on the coach from doing anything, is the kind of dynamic team that like is able to push through the kind of thing that happened tonight. That whole swing with Anthony Edwards making that poster dunk, you felt the momentum change right then. Like that would have been the moment that they would have come back and just finished this game off. And they had the mental fortitude, like Luka and Kyrie particularly, but it was not just them. It was everybody else in the margins that pushed through that momentum swing and forced this to not be a lost game and to recover it and to get them in a position where they could win that final minute. I think without that, like there's nothing that any coach would be able to do in that exact situation to recover a game, because it's too much of what happens in a basketball game for a coach to be able to really change.
Yep.
So
good takes. I appreciate you, man.
No problem. But I want to say one more thing and I'll let you go.
Sure.
I just think this is the most outrageous thing. The possibility that the Rangers, the Mavs, and the Stars could all be championship winners within one calendar year is the most absurd thing to me, and I am all here for it. I am hoping the Stars can pull it out along with the Mavs, and I just love to see the national media like forced to talk about Dallas with the respect that I've always wanted them to have. So
that's right, man.
I'll leave it with that.
Thanks so much, man. Talk soon.
Yep.
All right. Coming up last but not least, it's our friend from Perth, Mr. Green. How's your morning going?
Absolutely fantastic, my friend. I'm sure your night is doing quite well yourself.
I'm going to be able to close up shop. I mean, I won't go to bed before midnight, but we'll be able to close this podcast off before midnight where I am. That hasn't happened in months.
That's not a bad effort, mate. And closing it out 3-0 up, that's got to be a good feeling, mate.
It's a great feeling, and to the point to where, like, quite candidly, for me, it's better to have games because it's better for my business. Like the Mavericks going and beating the Wolves but I don't care. If the Mavericks win on Tuesday, there is a 9-day break until the finals.
I don't know what I'll probably have to do some work in those.
Right. I'm going to have to actually do stuff.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But, mate, what a game tonight. They didn't let down the Dallas home crowd. I was so happy to see that. And, look, I think all of us on the timeline on X were just ready to send Gafford to the moon. That foul, you know. Like that was a mental breakdown. But to his credit, man, he was huge in the fourth. Huge in the fourth, man. We don't win this game without Gafford. I reckon D-Live will be all right. I've copped some hits to the head. He'll be okay at that age.
Hope so. I mean, the neck stuff is that stuff is terrible. So I hope he's all right. We'll know more tomorrow, though, and it's not a concussion, which is important.
Yeah, and, you know, he'll probably he won't know whether to put ice on his balls or ice on his head. His cat just drilled him. It was shocking.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something strange that I can't remember ever seeing this, and I'm still shaking off the feelings of a couple of years ago when we were getting drilled in the Western Conference Finals by the Warriors. So it's such a unique feeling. But, man, I have never seen a veteran leader and a head coach turn on his team worse in a post-game interview than I've seen the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight, man.
So what happened? I've missed all of it. Tell me.
So they put Ant, they put Slow-Mo, and they put Connolly all together on a table. 3 of them, one interview, right? So that was a bit icky. They're asking Ant, what do you do when the sky's falling? And he goes, the sky's not falling. I'm a positive guy, this and that. And then when Connolly gets the stand, it's all about, we didn't execute down the stretch. The ball's sticking. We've got to have the 0.5 rule. We've got to kick it out, make a play. They were basically just drilling Ant. If I was Ant, I'd be fucking furious. Absolutely furious. Cat dodged the podium. He wouldn't get up and talk. But the reporters got him outside of the change rooms. And and the funny thing was, he reckons he's putting up 1,500 shots a day. And the TNT crew, they just clowned him over it. Absolutely clowned him over it. I mean, who's shooting 1,500 shots a day in the finals? He is a clown, that cat.
The poor guy, he just, we've all got a friend like this that just won't shut up. And that's Cat. He just happens to be amazing at basketball. Like, I almost feel bad for the guy.
Dude, his stats this round, his stats will go down in history. They really will. They're that bad. And, as they said, man, he was 0-8 from 3 tonight. And look, I'll give him this. He's got balls. If I was 0-4, I wouldn't be touching it outside there. I wouldn't be posting it up. His skill set, I mean, my hat's off to PJ Washington, man. That should be a mismatch. And PJ's clowning him, man, making him look like the least impactful player in the playoffs. That's what Cat looks like. He's not impactful. Maybe second behind Rudy Gobert. But, man, I can't believe how they're imploding.
You want to say it's youth, but I can't remember who sent this to me, but somebody was like, Anthony Edwards is young. The rest of these guys are old.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's true.
But, the comments by Connolly, man, I couldn't believe him. He was pretty much selling out Ant on the podium. And Ant's just sitting there at the end just going, and Slow-Mo's not saying shit, man. Look, Slow-Mo is such a good player, man. I'd love to see a player like that on Dallas because he has that in-between, that unorthodox in-between game. And he does
unorthodox doesn't do it justice.
He does a good job of being on Luka, man. He's one of the weird body types and skill sets that seems to make it harder for Luka. He seems to always turn Luka over a couple of times a game.
He played Luka great tonight. He really did.
Yeah, and he's, like I said, he's just got that strange in-between game. But I'll tell you one thing that really, it was so stark watching today's game, right, is like I've watched this team for years. I've never seen the ability to throw it out for an open three that doesn't get taken and have so many players that can put it on the ground and take it into the paint, man. It still blows me away. Every time Derek Jones Jr. does it, every time Green does it, I'm just thinking to myself, imagine this team with Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith. It's not fucking going into that three-point region, and it gets them in rotation. And in my opinion, that's why we're winning games. They don't know what's going to happen when it comes out of our two-star players' hands. And I absolutely fucking love that about this team. Love it. PJ, Green, and Hardy tonight, man. Hardy, like, he gets a step on him, man. You don't even need a full step, just a half step and put your shoulder down and go with some vigor. And we're just playing so well. It's awesome to see. Awesome to see.
Mr. Green, you're closing us out in a great take, so we're just going to end with you. Thanks so much, man. We'll talk Tuesday night or Wednesday morning for you. All right?
I've PM'd you those lotto numbers, mate.
It's good. I appreciate this. He's calling from the future, guys. All right, everybody. I don't know. Everybody here in the stateside have talked about this. By the time you're listening to this, if you're listening on audio stream, your Memorial Day is probably mostly done. Hope everybody was safe. Hope everybody was good. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back on Tuesday night. Krishna's joining. Krishna wants me to stay up even later. Krishna, what's up, man?
Kirk, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
You're not fucking sorry. And you know what? That's the other part about this show is that I'm not allowed to host a show where I say we go till we're done, only to cut you off early. Though I could have casually ignored you.
I felt so bad. I said like, hey, don't wait up for me.
It's fine. What do you got? Tell me your thoughts.
Gosh, great game. I wasn't here. I wasn't here for game 2. Obviously, that was great. And ultimately, the difference in the series literally has been Luka and Kyrie. Like the fact that anyone has doubted them this entire, and I wouldn't say this entire run, but doubted how good these guys have been this entire season, especially in the clutch. Like this team had the best, maybe the Lakers, I think, had the best winning percentage. The Mavs, I think, had the best record in the clutch in the NBA this season.
Yep.
And I think, we always talk about sample sizes. Everyone took the end of last season as the sample size that these guys don't work together. And in comparison to this season, it's clear that was a small sample size, and that was two guys who were deferring to each other, not so much as in like, am I the man who's the man? More as in like they wanted to make each other feel welcome. And I think that was to me more positive than if they had butted heads, right?
Yeah.
And clearly they've figured that out. Like I don't there's no other way to put it other than they figured it out, which is kind of just amazing. Like they are, I don't know anyone else in the league except, maybe Jokic and Murray as a duo. Like who else as a duo are you going to trust in the clutch with your team behind or up or tied, like whatever? I don't know. I can't think of anyone in the league right now that I trust more. And
good feeling, right?
It is. I think obviously for Mavs fans, the headline is probably partially going to be Lively. Like it's unfortunate. It's frustrating, honestly, for him because he's been so phenomenal. Like it's. I think he's not been talked enough in general in the national media in terms of how impactful he's been. But and there was some discussion about Gafford has clearly not been great this playoffs, and kind of, oh, should we move him on? But to me, I never felt like Gafford was, this is supposed to be like this pure, forever starting center, like the perfect fit. I always felt like he was the serious upgrade over Dwight, right? It was hey, you need a guy who's going to be solid, who's going to give you reliable minutes in an 82-game season, and who's going to play his heart and effort off. And I don't think some of that has translated complete in the playoffs, but hey, when you needed him most, at least he played great defense when you needed him most.
Right. That's right.
That's all you can really ask for. And I credit him for that. You credit all the role players. They've all had their moments in the clutch in this run. PJ's had his moments. Derek Jones has had his moments, and now Gafford had his moment, and Lively has too. And so you give him credit for it, and you just hope Lively's okay. You just want him to get rest and genuinely be okay. Like, even if he's not here for game 4, which obviously you hope he is, but you just want him to be happy. But otherwise, it's awesome, man. Like Hardy stepping up in the playoffs. Like, who would have seen this coming? And
no one. Anybody that was a Hardy believer going into the playoffs, go buy some lottery tickets while you're hanging out here.
Look, I mean, I like Hardy and Josh. I like all the young guys on this team just because I just like seeing guys with potential, and especially the Mavericks have never been that team. Like, it feels like every guy with potential we've had is like a Dorian, where it's like they need to fix like 5 different things to be NBA players, and the fact that Dorian fixed like a lot of those things to even just be a like rotation guy is stunning. But those are all against all odds, and those are so unlikely. And so to see guys who have legitimate talent work hard, and even if they're not necessarily getting the playing time they might have in other situations, it feels like they're happy to be in a winning situation and they want to contribute and be a part of it. And that's something that you can't underestimate a lot. You can't underestimate having a winning culture and a winning feeling and just a positive feeling around this team, which is something we didn't have last season, obviously. And this is awesome. And, obviously, like Luke was saying, you're still 1 win away and there's no guarantees. But this is a good feeling, Kirk. Like, this is a completely different feeling from obviously 22. 22 felt like you were just kind of happy to be there. But you were just bummed because you knew, like, you just weren't good enough, especially at the center rotation, right? And it was frustrating, obviously, but now you have Kyrie and you have so many other guys that just stepped up. Like, it was tied 104, right? And I missed most of the game, but I made sure to watch the final 5 minutes because I knew this was going to be, buck up or shut up time. And PJ hitting that corner 3, and then I think
PJ was great. Yeah, PJ was pretty important in this game. His stats are not really, 15 and no, that's McDaniels. PJ with 16 and 8, and just it was really quiet. Hit all 4 of his free throws, which were huge. He was great tonight.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is like we can always talk about like box scores and these things, but it's always about the feeling of the players. And I don't look at most of this roster and like obviously there are some things you want to fix. There's room for improvement on this roster. No roster is like legitimately 100% perfect, but you feel like most of the time that guys are giving positive contributions. And that was something we couldn't have said even in 22. In 22, we were scraping the bottom of the barrel to get a 7th guy to play minutes for you, even 5-10 minutes. And now you don't necessarily, now obviously it's like still a little rusty. It's like, is it going to be Hardy? Is it going to be Josh? Is it going to be Exum? Is it going to be Tim didn't really play today? You don't know, but you're getting a contribution from guys that you wouldn't have expected. And so just really positive, Kirk. I'm excited. And, no matter how this goes from here on out, this has been a fantastic season. And I think it was, I forget who you were talking about with Mavs Party. I do want the Mavs to take this opportunity seriously and try to win the championship, but no matter what happens from now on, I'm just happy. I'm just really, really happy. And I hope we all enjoy it because this is rare stuff, man. Like this is like rare stuff, and it's fun and it's happy. I'm just happy.
Good. Fun is the point.
Well, exactly. I won't keep you guys up any longer, so everyone get some good rest. Good night.
All right. Talk to you. All right. Coming up later. Oh, hey, Brian. Brian's still here. Brian, what you been doing, my man?
Yeah, man, I just jumped on late. I'm mad I happened to miss the one show that you finally got Josh to jump in for, but I figured I'd hang around. Well, actually, I just happened to check and see that you guys were still live, so I wanted to jump in. I know that a lot of the topics that I would want to talk about after a game like that have probably been broached, but Just two things, really. One, wow, just we're at the point where I am confident that Jaden Hardy is going to make it to a second contract as a Maverick. And if you told me in January that I would be confident in that about both him and Josh and like feeling good about both, I would have slapped you in the face.
Sure.
And yet here we are. He's quite literally stepped into the Tim, okay, you're in the corner and the defense has to respect you role, and also has given us some playmaking off that and some attacking off the catch that we just didn't have in the earlier rounds from either Tim or Exum. And that dude has just done such an admirable job. And you can see, like, I know you probably saw the play earlier in the game where he had the ball on the wing. Luka gave it to him. He gave it back to Luka, and Luka put some extra stank on the pass and said, no, you go cook. You have Rudy on you.
They're like, we don't care. And even if he fucks up, which he didn't, but even if he fucks up, there's a level of confidence instilling to where it's like, they're fine with you doing this. It's not you. And which is, I think to a lot of people, it will be lost on them where it's like, well, Kirk, you ragged on him for taking 5 shots in 4 minutes in the last game. And it's like, well, because some of those shots are fucking stupid. Okay. This was not that. This was the guy telling you, go take your shot and we'll live with it. And that's important.
Like the confidence that he and Kid and Kyrie have in this kid, like if we don't get that play early in the game where Luka is throwing the ball back at him, like, why are you giving me the ball back? Go do what we brought you out here to do. We don't get that monumental finish through contact at the end of the third quarter that kept the game tied when Minnesota was making a push. Yep. And we absolutely needed that bucket. So that's really cool to see in real time. And also very funny for all the Luka leadership people. It's like, these are kind of the moments that you really need to be paying attention to if you want to have that conversation about him. And also just, dude, like our backcourt, like just in general, has been incredible in the clutch. Most of the playoffs, but especially in this series. But the Luka hammer that the Minnesota Timberwolves are getting at the ends of all 3 of these games is like some special grade shit. Like this is the kind of performance, like series long in the clutch, that like it feels like he's been building up to. And it's like, dude, does he hate Rudy this much? He's just like, every single time I play your team, I am gonna give it to you and I'm gonna make it as painful as possible. And there's nothing you're gonna be able to do. You can come guard me yourself. You can put, like, he hit a crazy one over Jaden McDaniels towards the end of the game. You can put your best perimeter defender on me. You can put your best player, period, on me. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
It's great. It's the best thing. Feels good.
Yeah, man. This playoff run is what we've been building towards for like 4 years now. This has been so long overdue, and I could not be more excited.
Well, good, man. I hope you had fun.
Hell yeah. Got drunk too. Got some 1800 sitting right next to me.
Yeah, that's how long I've been talking. Like, I was drunk and now I'm not. I've not been able to go make another drink. Like, this is the real problem when you don't have a producer and your wife goes to sleep. So, I got an empty cup here I've been rattling with. But hey, thanks for hanging out, all right?
Of course, dude. Thanks for bringing me up.
All right, talk soon. All right, we have one more joiner. We're going to bring Matt up. Matt, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Kirk, man, what a game.
It felt good, right? It's a good one.
Did, man. Hey, I'm a long-time listener. It's my first time to jump on. It's the first time for me to figure it out. But, man, what a game. I missed most of the beginning of this, but do we have an update on Lively?
Kid said they'll see how he's feeling tomorrow. I think they took him to get an MRI to see what's going on. We probably really won't know much. I mean, it's not a concussion.
Okay.
But I do think that before everybody exhales, anything neck related is obviously pretty dangerous. The dude got like, it's like a defenseless quarterback kind of thing. I mean, that was pretty scary.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, my wife was like, man, if he comes back in, I'm going to be upset with the Mavericks organization for this. Yeah. And I'm like, well, it could have been a neck sprain. I don't know. But, man, what a great game. I mean, way to step up. Game 3, really take control. And it's hard not to look beyond this, but a few little things. I didn't notice Hardaway Jr. in the game much tonight, which I liked.
No, there's been no Hardaway Jr. He played a few minutes last game. He hit a 3, missed 2 free throws, and didn't go back in.
Okay. Well, just wanted to say thanks for what you do, Kirk. Man, this was awesome. Excited. Great time to be a Maverick.
That's right.
I don't see how anybody can beat the duo that we have in Doncic and Irving, and they are both incredible scorers. They're both playing great defense right now. I know Doncic takes some plays off, but it's hard to believe that anybody could beat us right now. Knock on wood. So
that's right. Well, I'm really glad you figured out how to join. You got anything else before I attempt? I don't know why I always act like I'm going to bed. I have like 2 more hours of work to do, but that's why I do this.
Yep, it's bedtime. It's bedtime.
All right. Have a good one. Have a good Memorial Day.
All right. Thanks, Kirk.
All right. If we don't have anybody else, I know there's one guy in the comments that was asking how to join. I'm going to go to sleep in 2 hours. Got enough stuff to do. Really looking forward to doing post-game work because this is why I do this. Everybody be good. Have a safe Memorial Day. We'll talk on Tuesday night. Everybody have fun. Go Mavs.
Everyone is talking about magnesium. It's all you hear about. But why? What do we know about magnesium? Well, magnesium is the #1 mineral that 75% of Americans are deficient in. If you are a woman over 35, magnesium will help you rediscover balance, energy, and vitality. Magnesium supports more than 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those involved in hormonal balance. From functional medicine doctors to mental well-being and female hormone experts, we all know that magnesium is the one mineral to improve all aspects of well-being and health. But which one? Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, the trusted choice recommended by leading experts with 7 best-absorbed forms of magnesium to ensure your body receives the support it needs for overall well-being. Go to bioptimizers.com/balance today and use code BALANCE10 for 10% off. Support your journey to wellness at bioptimizers.com/balance. Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, your foundation to optimal health and vitality.